How's it, guys? So I'm just back again to continue the little chat started last week in terms of what to take out on the kayak. Well, it's really just it's an overview of what I take out. Like I said before, it's not a hard and fast rule of what you should take out. Every angler is different. What works for one, what might not work for another. Some of it is recommended stuff. Others is stuff that I use and other guys might use or might not use. Like I say, I tend to sort of go towards the maybe taking a little bit too much stuff with me sometimes. There are guys who take even more, and then there's guys who really scale it right down. Like for example, today I was chatting to someone about this, and he was saying that his sort of tackle box setup is a lot more boring, he said, than mine, because he doesn't take lures and this sort of thing. He just takes live bait traces, dead bait traces, and then there's no liveys around. He just uses dead bait, and he's a top angler, and that's what works for him. So everyone is different. Everyone is different, and things work differently for how they want to set them up. So like I say, it's just a good overview, and it might help some of you. Some of you might not use any of it at all, but other guys might sort of look at it and think, oh, that might be helpful. I always love to see what other guys are using and check out what they're doing on the water, because it always, to me, it just does help improve your fishing when you're seeing what other guys are doing. So into it then. Firstly, this is kind of the little basic setup of tackle boxes and trace bags and lure bags, trace boxes that I take. I'll try to keep it all sort of nice and neatly packed away. It looks nice and neat now, but obviously in the chaos of the fishing it all sort of goes upside down a bit. But that's why you've got to try to stay as organised as possible, because it can get quite chaotic out there. So I keep my lures in a little bag like this. Some guys use these for traces. I use them for lures. I'm not going to run over those lures. We went over all of them last week. This little pouch from Kingfisher I find very handy, easy to use, nicely rolls up, washes easily, and easy to get to. And then I have a bits and bobs box and a trace box. I used to, I've changed things over the years. Sometimes I do a lot of changing and trying out different things just because of the industry we're in. But at one point I was actually putting all my stuff into a box like this. So I was putting the lures at the bottom and then everything else on the top. But it just became a real mess, and things got turned upside down. And like I said, it's for me, it's better to try to be more organised. Traces in here, and then boxes for the other things. So I always like to have a couple of daisy chains with me, various sizes and styles. Daisy chains work for a number of different species, for finding live bait like little bonnies, and even for chasing after snook. And then I try to keep everything in order that I probably use them. Snook traces on top, because generally I'll go for a snook first thing in the morning if we're going out. I label them. They're a bit obvious that they're snook traces, but just for ease of reference, I try label all my traces. So these snook traces all into smaller little bags, just because they fit easier to manage. And then some sabikis. Always have a selection with me, 2 different colors. Locally I prefer to use the yellow, sort of Durban area. It does work a bit better than the red. Vidal, Ponta often works better there, but again, keep a bit of a selection, and because if one's not working on one day, then you can have luck on another day. Don't just keep flogging away. If a mate next to you is getting live bait, you not, maybe you need to change things up in terms of the sabiki trace that you're using. And then into the box, then at this time of year, a lot of dories around, there's tuna around, mono or fluoro live bait traces, obviously going to be working best for them. Keep those up near the top. I always have a selection of these, one treble on a trace, a single treble on a trace, various sizes, number 4 or number 2, number 3 or number 4 wire, and I've got a mix up of those so that those are quick and easy to go to if there's toothy critters around. And then a number of different traces here. I try, like I say, label them as best as possible. Sometimes the problem with labeling, sometimes you mix the bags up and you've got to relabel them again. Just make sure you do that when you do when you reuse a bag for something else. This one's specifically for ponta-sized larvae. That's actually, I'll just use cling wrap because I run out of bags. And then then I start heading down through the box to get more into the cuter traces, different sort of colors and variations. Always good to have a dead bonnie trace, like I say, labeled, so I know exactly what's going on there. And then at the bottom we've got some Kona, one of these Dorado chases they're called. I think they're old. It's an old gladiator lure, I think. And then some cotton in there. So that's the trace box. The packets I use are vary. I mean, you can use these smaller packets as well. Give yourself more room and just use a smaller packet with the smaller traces. And obviously, the bigger traces you'll need bigger packets. And then moving on to this bits and bobs box, I'll use this for. Got an extra pair of scissors that I put in there. Some cable ties. Cable ties are always handy for live baiting and for a variety of other things. Then I got a little package here with balloons in for dead baiting live baiting on the surface. There's some elastics in here, and then inside here I've also got a selection of little wings for dead bait, for helping the dead bait swim, just different sizes and different shapes. So I've just got those handy and easy, quick to use. And then inside here I've got some toothpicks as well, and then a selection of sinkers, different size sinkers, and a little bit of extra cotton. So try to keep it as simple as possible. To some people this might be too much, but yeah, it all fits into these boxes quite nice and easily. I do have like a little box if for like a quick trip, like a bit of a snook session. You're gonna have a quick session out on the water. This is just a box packed just specifically for a quick snook session. Some snook traces, snook lures, snook spoons. Good to go for a quick session. If you know there's just snook around, you're going to go for a quick hour and a half on the water before work, then maybe just something like that. But otherwise, that's how I do it, and try to keep it as neat as possible and organized as possible. Hope this helps. Thanks, guys.